Hello, Rob here from the Flanagan Homestead and East Fork Christmas Tree Farms. It's been a while since I've done some Christmas tree videos. It is currently Sunday, March 12th. I just got out of church and I'm meeting a guy out at the Christmas tree farm today to talk about work on the Christmas tree farm. So over the years, if you've been following my channel, we started our tree farm approximately 20 years ago. I was much younger. Barry and I did most of the work together, and then our sons helped us out a lot. My 4 boys were great workers, but I've got 2 sons that are engaged, moving on, another one that's married and living in Texas now. And so the family workers isn't there, and I don't have as much energy, and I have other interests that I need to do, so I can't do all the work myself. Well, Barry and I can't do all the work ourselves. So anyway, I ran into a guy last summer who owns a Christmas tree crew. He runs a Christmas tree crew, and I met him while I was shearing Christmas trees. I asked him if he was available to do more trees. He said yes. I asked him what the price would be, to do trees. He goes, well, I can't tell you that until I see your farm, and which is completely appropriate. I know that there's trees that I could shear quite easily because they already have a pretty good shape. The tops are pretty good. And he said, I have to look at your farm, see how many trees you are, what kind of shape they're in, and then I could tell you how much I charge to shear. So obviously we're nowhere near shearing, but in the next month or so we're going to be doing herbicide. He does do herbicide at some point in time. So I have no idea how much he charges for these things at this point in time, but we're starting the conversation today. He's supposed to be meeting me here in 8 minutes. It got moved back an hour because he didn't know today was daylight savings time, and he called me and said, I'm off an hour. So anyway, he's supposed to be meeting me here in a little bit. We're gonna go walk the fields. He's gonna see what I have, what I want done. He's gonna tell me what he can do and what it'll cost, and well, we'll give you a report. All right, I've been waiting and waiting. It's past the time to meet him here. I just called the guy that was supposed to meet me here, and no answer. I tried calling again. He did answer. He's off the freeway. He's going to be getting here now. But sometimes that's the reality of the situation when you want to meet people at the farm. Don't always come right when you want. Should have brought some tools out here and poked away at some things. But I'm not in my dress clothes since I just got out of church. But hey, he'll be here in a few minutes. We'll get going. Pedro.
Hi.
Hello. That's the camera. Rob.
Hi, Rob. Yeah, that's your farm.
This is it. All right, so I just got done meeting with Pedro. It's always fun talking to someone else that's been in the Christmas tree business. It doesn't matter how long I've been in there. I can learn something from anybody, from other people that have been doing it. And one of the interesting things that I learned that he does differently is, so he has, besides having a crew, he has a 7-man crew that works year round. I'm like, year round? Because once we ended with harvest and I did fall planting, we've been, since Christmas till now, I haven't really been doing anything, just sitting there waiting. But he does several wholesale farms, and the trees that he knows aren't going to sell this year, because he's busy shearing other trees, he continues to shear them through the winter. And he says he's actually shearing Christmas trees right now that did not get sheared last year. And I was like, well, aren't the branches woodier and harder to get through? And he said, it's about the same. So he could do it, but they're going to get their shape on those last year's shape just before everything buds out this year and starts growing. So that's really interesting. So he is doing planting for some farms. This is a planting time of year for a lot of people, and and when the crew isn't busy, they're shearing his farms. And so he's got 60,000 of his own trees, and he's got multiple places he's leasing out in the area. He's been doing this for about 30 years. And so he has some good experience. We talked about how late to wait and cut handles. I try to cut a foot high handle, and I wait till the tree is 3 feet high. And he's like, it's a lot easier if you do it when it's only 2 feet tall. And I agree, it is a lot easier. But I didn't want to cut out full half the tree. But he said it doesn't make a difference. And honestly, my experience when I have done it, it hasn't hurt it much. So I'm probably going to start cutting my handles a little bit sooner. So forget whatever I talked about. Oh, anyway, He's going to come out in a few weeks here, and he's going to spray the herbicide for us. He's got a tractor, and he just charges for the labor on how long it takes to do the field. He says typically he charges about $40 an acre to spray it, and then obviously I need to pay for the chemicals. On shearing the Christmas trees, he said because we have varying heights, we have some taller ones here, and then can't see it on the camera right now, but we've got some that are just planted, and he said he'd shear everything, but it would average out to 30 cents a tree, which honestly I think will come out a pretty fair price for me. I'll definitely get my 30 cents worth on that tree when the tree's yay tall and he's just trying to nipping a few tips. I'm not getting my money's worth, but overall I haven't had time to do the numbers, but to check the numbers on what we paid out in labor last year for having the tree sheared by young men that I'm training myself in their first year shearers, is probably would come out to about the same price as having his 7-man crew come here. And I've watched them work. He's like, I've done this, you can check the farms I've done. And he said, no, well, you don't know this, but I've stood off on the road and watched your guys work, and I know you guys know what you're doing because I was watching you. So I think the total price might be better or about the same as what I've been paying to have high school guys and college age guys come out and help me out, but I'm training them and they're not as precise, and I think we're going to end up, if we hire him, paying about the same price and having a better shaped tree.
Sorry, I'm still not.
So besides negotiating price or finding out what he'd do for me and what price, we just started talking Christmas trees, which again, I always enjoy talking Christmas trees with anyone. And he has his own commercial lots in town that he runs besides shipping some out of state wholesale. But he was talking about baler and how I'm not baling trees because I just one tree in the back of the truck, it works, but we may get one soon. And he said, well, I'll sell you one. And I said, well, why are you trying to get rid of it? And he goes, well, I've got 7 balers and one is a little bit slower. And I agreed with him that on a U-cut farm, if it's not quite as fast, it's not that big of a deal, although you don't want to waste time on any farm. But he said that the one baler he wants to sell is pretty good, but his crew is only getting 600 trees a day through that one. And the newer balers that he bought, his crew is getting 800 to 900 trees a day baled and onto the truck. So he said, I got more than enough, and actually it's parked about 8 miles from here. So I'm probably going to go look at it sometime and see if we want to buy one of his balers and see how well it's working. All right, just some more Christmas tree thoughts. I have the camera pointed down here because he noticed as we walked through here I had a lot of stumps and not trees in the ground. He goes, why didn't you plant any trees here? He doesn't want to waste any space because he's wholesale. He wants to have every spot planted. But I was telling him that in the last few years we've planted more trees than we've ever planted before. And because we're a U-cut, we want to have an even cycle. And so we ordered, making sure we didn't have any extra, and we have a few rows that are still empty, but we planted 3,000 a couple years ago and a couple thousand this last year, and we want to average selling per year about 1,000 trees in the future when this whole farm gets in a nice cycle. We're trying to create a nice cycle. So I told him, we've planted so many the previous 2 years that we figured what we harvest out, the couple hundred is all we're going to be able to sell this year because we're low on inventory. We got a lot of smaller trees. So we'll replant those. There'll be a few hundred probably that die or spaces that we missed. And then we'll plant this. So we'll get, and then we got some grand firs that we didn't have a chance to order last year. So we'll get about 1,000 more trees in the ground this coming year. And then that'll help balance out the cycle. And remember, the trees don't all grow up at the exact same height, so if you plant trees 1 year, 1,000 trees 1 year, and when you think they're all going to be harvested, maybe 300 would be harvested 1 year, 400 the next year, and then 300, if you're to sell all 1,000, 300 the next year. a 3-year span of getting to height and maturity and ready to go is pretty common, at least on our nobles. Some take even longer, some the extreme a lot longer, but you know, for the most, there is a general span that you'll get trees from. So those trees that are going there, hopefully with the thousands of trees that we have planted, hopefully some of those are fast growers and are ready a little bit sooner, and then we'll trickle down from there. I don't know if I mentioned that when he said he would do about 30 cents a tree shearing, he said that doesn't include handles. Handles would have to be done by me or another price charged. That's probably something I will just do myself or hire some young men around here to help do. It's not as technical and easy to do. It is hard work, as he said, the hardest work on the job. And I've referenced before, nobody in my family likes doing the handles, cutting off the bottom foot of branches and getting the trees ready to go. Well, it was good to talk Christmas trees with you again. It's been a while since I put a video out, since harvest was on Christmas trees specifically. Those of you that have a baler and do it wholesale, how many trees can you bale on one baler a day? I was just curious, listening to what he said his crew was doing on a baler. I wonder what the numbers would be. And thanks for joining me on the Flanagan Homestead, where Christmas trees are my business, teaching and cleaning horticulture is my job, and outdoor projects are my passion. Hope to see you again soon. Be blessed, everyone.